My brother, my sister, have you ever reached that point where your heart whispered, I'm done, and no one even knew? Let me tell you something. Right before you collapsed, Allah touched your soul. And that's the only reason you're still here today. That moment you whispered, I'm done, was when Allah touched your heart. Have you ever felt like you were reaching your final limit? Not in a dramatic way, not in front of people, but silently, in your own heart, when you were all alone, and you just told yourself, that's it, I can't do this anymore. You didn't shout, you didn't even cry, you didn't explain it to anyone, because honestly, no one would have understood. From the outside, you looked fine. You got up, you spoke, you smiled, but inside, you were already sitting down. You had given up, not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You stopped hoping. You stopped praying with your heart. You stopped believing things could change because you felt like nothing was working. And maybe you were even too tired to ask Allah anymore, too drained to say, Ya Allah, help me. Because the words didn't feel real and the silence felt louder than your dua. But let me tell you something. That moment was not the moment Allah left you. It was the moment He touched your soul. You didn't realize it. You didn't feel a flash of light. You didn't hear a voice. But deep inside, something subtle happened. There was a pause, a strange moment of stillness, a sudden breath you didn't expect, a small feeling that told you, just hold on a little longer. That feeling was not your inner strength. It was not resilience. It was not mindset. It was Allah's mercy. He held your heart right when it was about to collapse. He steadied your chest right when anxiety was about to consume you. He wrapped your soul right before you were about to give up entirely. No one saw it. Not your family, not your friends, not even you. Because Allah doesn't always show up with thunder. He doesn't always answer with loud miracles. Sometimes He saves you in the quietest ways possible. Through a random calm, through a breath that stopped your tears, through a verse that appeared on your screen, through a voice like this one, speaking to you right now. That wasn't a coincidence. That was rahmah. That was Allah saying, I'm still here. You see, when you whispered, I'm done, Allah responded not with rejection, but with love. He said, you may be done, but I'm not done with you. And that's why you didn't break. That's why even though you came close to the edge, you didn't fall. Because Allah caught you without anyone noticing. He didn't need to show the world. He didn't need to prove anything. Because He was never trying to impress others. He was trying to heal you privately. You didn't give up because He didn't let you. You're still here. Not because you were strong, but because Allah never left you for even a second. And right now, the fact that you're listening to this reminder, the fact that your heart is still beating, the fact that you haven't given up yet, that is proof that Allah still wants you. Proof that He still believes in your return. Proof that your story isn't over. So the next time your soul whispers, I can't anymore, remember Allah already touched your heart once. And He can do it again. Because even when you feel furthest from Him, He is closer than your own breath. And He's never too far to catch a falling soul. Allah sends stillness, not thunder, when He comes to save you. We often imagine that when Allah saves us, it will be loud, it will be dramatic, it will be clear for the whole world to see. We expect lightning to strike, doors to burst open, a sudden change that flips our life in a moment. But let me ask you something, my dear brother, my dear sister. What if Allah saves you without noise? What if His help doesn't feel like fireworks, but instead like a gentle breeze in the middle of your storm? You see, sometimes the biggest divine rescue doesn't come through miracles we can see. It comes through a stillness that enters your heart at the exact moment your soul was about to give up. You were drowning in overthinking. You were exhausted from waiting. You were overwhelmed by pain. And then suddenly, it's quiet. Not the kind of quiet that feels lonely, but a peaceful quiet. A calm that doesn't make sense. A stillness that you can't explain. That is not nothing. That is not random. That is Allah. It's Him calming you before your situation even changes. Because He knows sometimes the storm outside won't stop. So He stops the storm inside you. Sometimes your external world is still full of chaos, but your chest feels light. Your heart feels strangely soft. Your breath slows down. You sleep better even though the problem hasn't been solved yet. That's not ignorance. That's not numbness. That's Allah's mercy giving your soul a break before the next step. And this is how our Rabb works. He doesn't always remove the mountain. Sometimes He strengthens your legs so you can climb it without fear. He doesn't always remove the fire. Sometimes He walks with you through it and keeps your heart cool like He did for Ibrahim alayhi salam. So if you've been waiting for a miracle, but all that's arrived is a small sense of quiet, don't ignore it. Because maybe that's not delay. Maybe that is the miracle. That moment in sujood where your mind went silent. That dua where you suddenly started crying without understanding why. That time you heard something, a voice, a reminder, and your chest felt lighter. Those aren't small. That's divine stillness. It's the unseen help that Allah sends before the big help arrives. It's His way of saying, I see how tired you are, let me ease your chest. Even if I haven't changed your test just yet. And that is far more powerful than we realize. Because some people are saved externally. Their situation changes. But the truly blessed ones are saved internally first. Allah gives them peace in their hearts before He gives them peace in their life. He changes you before He changes the things around you. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, even in the most difficult moments, like Ta'if, like Uhud, like the boycott, always turned inward to prayer, to sujood, to silence with Allah. Because He knew when people reject you, when life feels heavy, when nothing seems to move, sometimes the only place left to find stillness is in Allah. And what does that stillness do? It reminds you, you are not broken. You are being rebuilt. It tells your heart, you don't need to figure everything out tonight. You just need to breathe. And remember that Allah is with you even now. So, stop waiting for the thunder. Stop expecting fireworks. Start paying attention to the small moments where your heart suddenly feels soft, where your mind stops running, where you hear something that feels like a personal message from Allah. Those are your signs. That is your help. That is Allah's way of rescuing you without a sound. He doesn't need lightning bolts. He doesn't need to flip your world upside down. He just needs one moment to whisper calm into your soul. And when that calm comes from Him, it's stronger than any storm outside. So the next time the world is loud, but your heart suddenly feels quiet, don't rush it away. That's not emptiness. That's not numbness. That's your Rabb entering your heart. And once He enters, you will feel a strength that no one can explain. You'll carry things you couldn't carry before. You'll smile when nothing around you has changed. Because your stillness isn't from this world anymore. It came from above. from the one who knows exactly how to save you. Without a sound, the night you cried alone wasn't unseen by Allah. There's a night in your life, a night nobody knows about, a night you don't talk about anymore. You might have even forgotten the date, but your heart never forgot the feeling. That night, you didn't cry in front of anyone. You didn't send a message. You didn't call a friend. You just broke. Quietly, alone, in the dark. You were lying there staring at the ceiling, or maybe curled up on the prayer mat, too tired to explain what hurt, too exhausted to even make proper dua. You didn't say anything out loud, but your chest was heavy and your eyes kept releasing tears. You didn't plan to cry. No one saw you. No one asked. And even if they did, you wouldn't have known how to answer. That was not an empty moment. That wasn't wasted pain. That wasn't a night of silence. That was a moment of divine attention. Because while the world was asleep, Allah was not. He saw you. The same Lord who says, indeed your Lord is always watchful. Surah Al-Fajr 89:14. He was watching with love, not punishment. With mercy, not blame. And He didn't need you to explain, because He already knew. He knew what had broken your heart. He knew the burden you were too afraid to say out loud. He knew the betrayal, the fear, the confusion. He knew you were holding in so much pain, just so the people around you wouldn't worry. And yet, even though no one else saw it, even though you didn't speak, even though you didn't say a single word out loud, Allah recorded every single tear. Not one tear dropped from your eye without Him knowing. Not one sigh left your chest without Him hearing. Not one emotion passed through your heart without Him witnessing. You thought no one was there, but the Most Merciful was. And in that moment, you were not alone. You may not have seen Him, but He was closer than anyone else could ever be. Because Allah doesn't need you to speak for Him to understand. He doesn't need words. He listens to what even your own heart doesn't know how to express. He listens to your silence. So that night, when the world thought you were sleeping peacefully, but you were silently crying, Allah was closer to you than your own breath. And He didn't just see the tears. He saw why they came. He saw every reason behind them. Even the ones you've buried deep, that pain you thought no one noticed, Allah noticed. That moment you trembled in sujood but didn't know what to say, Allah counted that as a powerful dua. That deep breath you took to stop yourself from crying louder, Allah rewarded you for that patience even when it broke you inside. You see, this is why He is Ar-Rahman. This is why He is As-Sami. This is why He is Al-Latif, the one who knows the subtlest movements of your soul. He doesn't need grand gestures. He doesn't need perfect words. Sometimes, all He wants is your heart, even if it's shattered. And do you know what's beautiful? Allah never wastes pain. Not yours. Not ever. That night you cried alone, it was written, it was seen, it was witnessed by the one who never sleeps. It became part of your story, not as a weakness, but as a moment of divine intimacy. A moment where the veils between you and Allah were thinnest. Because sometimes the most powerful worship you'll ever do is not with your tongue but with your tears. The angels recorded it. Your soul remembers it. And Allah will not let that night go without healing. He will bring you the peace you begged for. He will replace what hurt you. He will answer the dua you didn't even know how to ask for. And when that day comes, you look back at that night and say, that was the night I thought I was falling apart. But really, it was the night Allah was holding me together. So don't erase that night. Don't be ashamed of it. Because even if the world forgot it, Allah didn't. He saw you. He heard you. And He is still responding to the pain you whispered into the pillow. And perhaps today, this very reminder is part of His answer. A quiet sign, a gentle whisper from your Rabb, I never left you, I was with you all along. The pain didn't mean you were distant from Allah. It meant He was drawing you closer. There's a common whisper that comes to many hearts when they're in pain. If Allah loved me, why am I feeling like this? If I was truly close to Allah, why does my life feel like it's falling apart? If He's listening, why isn't He stopping this from happening to me? And I want you to know, these questions do not mean you're weak in your faith. They mean you're human. Even the most righteous people in history, prophets, companions, scholars, worshippers, all had moments of pain that made them tremble inside. But here's the truth, no one told you clearly. Your pain doesn't mean Allah left you. Sometimes your pain is the evidence that He's pulling you closer. Because there are moments in life where comfort makes us forget, where ease makes us distracted, where blessings make us too comfortable to reflect. But pain shakes the soul. Pain reawakens the heart. Pain reminds you how much you need Him. And it is in that need that the door to Allah opens wider than ever before. You see, when everything is easy, when life flows smoothly, when your plans are working, you might still pray, but not with the same desperation. You might still make dua, but not with the same tears. You might still remember Allah, but not with that trembling voice that says, Ya Allah, I can't do this without you. That trembling, that breaking point, that moment where your heart falls into sujood, not because it's time, but because it's hurting, that is not a sign of failure. That is a gift. It's a door opening, a bridge forming, a connection being rebuilt between you and the one who never forgot you. Allah says in the Quran, indeed with hardship comes ease. Surah Shar 94:6. But notice something. He didn't say after hardship comes ease. He said with hardship, that means even in the middle of your pain, even in the same moment that your chest is tight, there is mercy present. You may not see it yet. You may not feel it yet. But it's there silently working. Just like a wound doesn't heal the moment you clean it. Your soul won't feel peace the very second you turn to Allah. But the healing has already begun. And what a blessing that is. Because some people live their entire lives with ease and never once turn their heart fully toward Allah. But you felt something missing. You searched. You called out. You felt the absence because deep down your soul still remembers its Creator. That's a gift. That's not weakness, it's awakening. Pain often brings people to a choice. Run away from Allah in anger or run to Allah in surrender. And if your heart is hearing this right now, then you haven't run away. You're still seeking. You're still listening. And that means even in the middle of the storm, you are being drawn closer. It's not always visible. Sometimes closeness to Allah doesn't feel like joy at first. Sometimes it feels like Allah stripping away everything that distracted you. Everything that made you think you were okay on your own. Everything that kept your hands full, so you couldn't lift them in dua. So He empties your hands, so you can finally raise them to Him. And yes, that hurts. It's confusing. You may even cry out, why is this happening to me? But in reality, something beautiful is happening. Your heart is becoming soft again. Your soul is becoming humble again. Your prayer is becoming real again. You stop rushing your salah. You start crying in sujood. You whisper His name with more sincerity than ever before. That's not distance. That's closeness being rebuilt. That's Allah cleaning your heart, polishing it, preparing it for something far greater than you've ever known before. Because a heart that remembers Allah during hardship becomes a heart that is never alone again. That pain is not pushing you away, it's pulling you back. And Allah is so merciful that even when we stray, even when we forget, even when we sin and distance ourselves, He still wants us back, even through the pain, especially through the pain. So don't mistake your tears for punishment. Don't think your brokenness means Allah is angry with you. If anything, your brokenness may be the very reason He's drawing you nearer, because Allah loves a broken heart that returns to Him. He loves a sinner who repents with sincerity. He loves a servant who cries for no reason except that they miss Him. And maybe that's what this pain is for. Maybe that's why you feel so much, because your soul is trying to remember the one it came from. So right now, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is Allah trying to bring me back to? Because when He removes, He replaces. When He tests, He purifies. And when He breaks something open, it's usually to let the light in. So keep going. Keep praying, even if it's through tears. Keep walking, even if your steps are slow. Keep trusting, even when you don't understand. Because one day, you look back and say, that pain didn't destroy me. It brought me back to the one who saves me. And you'll realize you weren't far from Allah. You were being led straight into His mercy. The moment you thought you were abandoned was when you were held the tightest. There are moments